Hi there. I think we are live now. I am sorry about the light. I just forgot to sort that out. Give me just a few seconds here, okay? Mm. Should be a little bit better there. Okay, okay. So, glasses on. Um, we're going to talk about this whole difficult and sensitive topic again about Israel and Hamas, Palestine, and as always, when it comes to topics where I am not really an expert, that goes for almost everyone listening to this. I want to make it very clear that I might be wrong on some things. It's important that we keep an open mind and that we do not pretend to be experts when we are not. And usually we are not, because that's just how it works. We could talk about the Viking Age. I would be more confident doing that. But that's not what we are going to talk about now. I'm just going to give it a few seconds so that people can join the chat. Happy Halloween, by the way. That was last night. And, well, I guess if you are now, let's see, well, it's very early here in Norway. Well, it's nighttime or evening in places like California now, I guess. Um, so, hi there, Angela. So let's give it a few seconds so that people can join. It's still Halloween, yes. Okay. Now I'm watching the news, you know, um, and I'm seeing these poor people in Gaza. I'm seeing the devastation. Um, and people will be writing in the comments that you shouldn't trust the news. I know that. And I have paid quite a price for talking about why we should not trust mainstream media. Uh, so I am fully aware of that. Thank you very much. But we need to realize that what we are watching now is not fake, okay? And I'm sorry that I have to say this, but there are crazy conspiracy theories out there. Some crazy people are claiming that all these Palestinians, they are just actors lying there pretending to be dead. No, no, they are not. This is Israel performing what looks like ethnic cleansing. Now, Israel is claiming that they need to do this because Hamas is everywhere and in tunnels and hiding in hospitals and so on and so on. That might be true. It doesn't change the fact that what they are doing now is that they are killing thousands upon thousands of civilians. And most people realize that that's actually what is happening. And it seems completely out of proportion as a response to that evil attack, or those evil attacks that Hamas has done, um, their abductions, their killings, torture. I mean, we need to realize that Hamas is a terror organization. They must be exterminated. That is my opinion, and it is also my opinion that this is not the way to do it. I'm afraid that what Israel is doing now is only going to increase the support for Hamas. And the Hamas leaders, they will not be there when the bombs fall. I think the big wigs are not even in Palestine anymore, but I don't know. And what we are looking at, and I'm sorry it's very early here, it's going to be a little bit, my comments are going to be a little bit all over the place. So this is not for everyone. I know that, but you can listen. You can join the community if you like to. It would be great to have you here. Um, I I think that we need to realize that Israel is acting now out of emotion. It's an emotional response. Their political leaders, who are extremists, they haven't always been, but the ones in office now, they are, in my opinion, they are extremists. And that was commented upon by several people who know a lot more about this than we do. And now we see a response that could have been predicted. This is going to happen. Hamas is going to provoke this, and they are going to provoke this because they know that the people in office in Israel now will respond in such a manner. Hamas does not care about the Palestinians. They care about killing the Jewish people. That's what they care about. Now, and Secret Squirrel, here's the thing. It is important to know and to understand that when I say that I do not know everything about this, when I say that I might be wrong on this, which I have said before, there is MB needs to tell us he or she unsubscribed. Well, go and dig yourself a hole and sit in it. I don't care. When I say that, it's because I mean it. I said in a previous live stream that it seems to be if we count the number of fatalities, it seems to be actually the kindest thing to do what Israel is doing now. That is one way to look at it. I don't know. It is difficult. But I can understand Israel, what they're doing now. Maybe they're hoping to do like I said that they should do, just take the entire Palestine, occupy it by force, and that will be the end of it. Would I say this now that I have seen and learned how they are doing it? No. The price is too high. Too many people are getting killed. As a bit of a sidetrack here, Jace Ventura, if you're commenting on me, just you're among adults now. Don't be an idiot. You're making yourself look like a fool. I'm not even going to bother kicking you out here. So this is just a guy in Norway who has never been in the area. And because I have never been in the area, I am not an expert on this. I will say that you should read up on this. You should go to proper books. You should educate yourself on this before you form an absolutist opinion. What they're doing now, what Israel is doing now, I think is wrong. What Israel is doing now should not, and I think will not, be forgiven. They are killing innocent people. They're bombing, literally bombing hospitals, okay? Refugee camps. And while this is going on, one of the representatives in the, I think it was the United Nations, he was sitting there among all the other that shower of bastards. He was sitting there wearing a yellow, the Jew star, the star thing. Now, that's so tasteless. I don't know. I don't know what to say. No, they didn't hit a fucking parking lot, Joseph. They hit the hospital. Check your facts. Check your sources. Um, like if Israel is the victim here. They are not. Who are the victims here? All the civilians on both sides. And if we're going to pick a side, which I think we should not, but since that's so fashionable and since people really, really love to do that, well, who seems to be suffering the most now? The Palestinian people. They are suffering because they're being held hostages by Hamas, and now, of course, they are being slaughtered by the Israeli army. And if you can't see that, I'm sorry to say this, but you're a fucking fool and you need to go away. Read up on this. Check your sources, check your thinking and your logic. Okay? So this guy is sitting there as if the Holocaust is still ongoing. That's, I don't know. I don't even have words to describe it. But the Israelis are not the victims here. But maybe these people, they really think that. Maybe it's in this, maybe there are, not talking about every Israeli person here, of course, but maybe there are this attitude among certain Israelis that they are victims, they need to fight all the Arab states and so on. Dr. von Fumble says, language, sir. Yes, I'll watch my fucking language. So I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been in Israel, but if you have, then share. And you, is it like that? Or I will guess that most Israelis, they don't like what's going on. I would, if I was an Israeli person, I would say that I would probably be in support of occupying the entire Palestine and keeping all the Palestinians almost at gunpoint, because I would be mostly concerned about safety of myself and my family. But that doesn't mean that that is the right thing to do and that is the fair thing to do. It doesn't mean that, So, yeah. Again, we need to be able to keep emotions out of the question. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. And it must be almost impossible if you are living in that area. Now, concerning the West Bank, I will not be commenting on what's happening there because I haven't looked into that enough to form an opinion. Um, so yeah, but we should keep an eye on that, absolutely. User 777 says, please make more Viking videos, Bjorn. Well, this is my live streaming channel, so but you might want to go and check out my main channel tonight Norwegian time, or tomorrow, tomorrow US time, or something like that. So now I want to ask you something, because I'm not a Christian, never been a Christian, and as a Norse heathen, forgiveness is not a concept that I even relate to in any way. But is for the concept of forgiveness, is it only a Christian thing, or is it something that applies to all the three major Abrahamic religions, like Judaism and Islam? I know the answer, but I would like you to answer because I find it interesting. Thank you, Angela. The links for my other channels are in the description box. So let's see here. If I've seen this in Gaza before, I can tell you the Palestine-Israel thing, it's been constantly repeating itself as long as I can remember. Yeah, I'm not really getting... oh, thank you, Angela. I'm not getting a reply here from people. Forgiveness is a human thing. Well, walk this way. That's interesting. It's a very interesting philosophical question. First, we have to define forgiveness, and so on. So, but okay. Cherokee Cage says, what is truth? And truth is merely subjective. No, the truth must be objective, otherwise it's not the truth. The truth is one thing. Everything else is just your opinion. Yeah, okay. So let's move on. So what I'm trying to say here, or what I was getting to here in this. By the way, before I get to that, I got a comment. You're saying too much. So I'm going to say that. I'll try to remember to say it a lot, even more, just to annoy the trolls. Now I'm speaking in a foreign language, as I think you can hear. So, okay, now, what seems to be happening now is that Israel is losing support. And I kind of think that they should. So let me explain what I mean by that. The nations, like our governments, the USA, for instance, they are still supporting Israel, pouring weapons and money and all that into Israel, so that they can keep bombing the civilians in Gaza, and so that they can keep doing their thing. But the peoples in these nations, people in Europe, the peoples in Europe, I'm saying peoples because there are many different peoples in Europe. Europe is not a country, contrary to what some Americans seem to think. And I've seen I've never seen an opinion in the people change so fast as it has this time. The opinion of the people concerning Israel has changed so fast here in Norway, and I seem to, and even in mainstream media, well, yeah, in mainstream media as well, it seems to there it it's like it's all about the suffering in Gaza now. Well, and it should be. They should absolutely cover that and tell that story because it is important. So, what Israel is doing now, I think, will always be remembered. And the politicians that we have now, I think you need to be, I don't know, in Norway, it's like the conservative Christians, I think, only that support Israel. I'm not sure, but the Jewish people here, they do not support Israel. Well, not support Israel. You know what I mean? What the Israeli government is doing in Gaza now. Okay, um, they do not support that. That's my impression. So, what does it mean when Israel is losing support? Well, the governments, the politicians, the paid for politicians, the corrupt politicians in our governments will keep pouring money and weapons into Israel so that they can keep doing their thing. But those people, those politicians will be replaced by other politicians. And in the future, and more of those politicians, and this is just a guess, they could be remembering what is being done now, and they will be more skeptical about supporting Israel with money and weapons. So I think, to conclude, that now that the Israeli government is losing support among the peoples in Europe and the USA, I believe also the USA and Canada and so on, then it means that they will also lose money and weapon support in the future. That's my theory. And is that a bad thing? Well, I think maybe it's like what you will hear most often is that if we do not support Israel, it will be swallowed up by the Arab states surrounding it. Will that happen? I don't know. I honestly don't know. If you look at the map, Israel is this little tiny dot surrounded by Arab states, Muslim states. So it's not unlikely that that will happen. So it's a difficult question, and also, of course, there's this argument that Israel is a modern Western state. The surrounding countries are Islamic to some degree, And what do we prefer? Well, if I had to choose, I would rather live in Israel than in Palestine, even if Palestine was wealthy. Of course, I mean, oh, here's one. Okay, I can't read your letters there, Mr. Nameless One, or Miss. Maybe you're a Miss or Mrs. I don't know. Asking Bjorn, are you racist? I'll let you figure that one out for yourself. Okay. Asking again. Yeah. Well, you can check out what I have said, what I've done here on YouTube, and. Oh, thank you, Angela. Um, Eddie says there is no such thing as racism. There certainly is such a thing as racism. I've had people in my close family become victims to racism, violent racism. So there certainly is a thing like racism. What is wrong with being racist? There is a lot. Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about racism. What is wrong about being racist? So there's a lot that is wrong with being racist. First of all, it's a lazy thing, you know. Gary says, if I'm racist, so what? Well, I wouldn't hire you. I would not want you to be my friend. I wouldn't want to invite you into my house. But you can be a racist in your own mother's basement or whatever. I don't care. So people should be judged. Well, people should not be judged. But if you're going to judge people, judge them on their human qualities, how they come across, how they behave themselves, and so on. And Austin says, is it racist to prefer to be around your own kind? No. I prefer to be around my own kind, but that my kind is not defined by the color of your skin or your ethnicity. Okay? So, like the obvious racist people in the USA, I'm talking about, rap culture, those people, it's obviously racism. It is. Someone are even saying it. No, tribalism is different. Tribalism is actually very different. Um, and when you apply racism, it's very difficult, almost impossible, because how the fuck are you going to define it? Well, you're going to define it going back with fucks, okay? You're going to have to go back following your bloodline, and you're going to have to define what kind of genetical or your DNA makeup is, okay? So let's say you're 1% African, not uncommon. Are you then white? Are you? Is that enough? 1%? Or not at all? What if you're half Celt, half Norse, which is quite common here in Norway? Which race are you then? So you're going to follow all the fucks in your bloodline, all your bloodlines actually, and see how purebred you are, and you're probably not. Okay. No, rap culture in the US is racist, not victims of racism. No, no. Just look at the texts. I mean, lyrics, if we can call it that. It's shit and it's racist. What I've seen. So there is no European race. There is not even a Norwegian race. There is no white race. Myself, I'm mostly Norse. That's a race. If we're going to use such a stupid word, we are talking about your words again. We're talking about your ethnic background. Okay. So ethnicity, yeah. So I'm mostly Norse, and I have also some Celt. in my bloodlines, uh, and very common here in this part of the world. So it's like define race, and if you can do that, a Caucasian is not a race. Of course, it's not. It's an area. It's people from an area. Look it up. So this is like it kind of makes my head hurt a little bit because it's not logical. Are you going to go by looks? Are you? Are you going then to be one of those fucking idiots out there telling me that oh, you're not a Viking because you're not blonde? Like it's like, oh, the stupidity of some people, it's staggering. It really is. And I blame the school system and bad parenting. So, oh, yeah, let's leave that topic because it's. So I'm from Spain. Okay. Okay. You're not a Viking because it's 2023. You said that. Uh, lost the chat now. No, you can still see it, but let's see what happened here now. Oh, there it is. Okay, the chat is blowing up. Yeah, we're all mutts, isn't that what you call it? Except those who would be. Let's see if I can. Can I make it smaller? Something happened here on my screen. You see. No, I'll just leave it like this. Uh, anyone except people from a hidden tribe in the Amazonian rainforests are mutts. So it really is. This one should be easy to define, should be easy to understand. And if you're not going to go by, let's use a term like purebred, then you'll have to define how much of your DNA that needs to be from a specific race, if you will. Ethnicity is a much better word. Is it 98%? Or are you okay with 50? What about 70? You have to define it. You have to have some rules. So when you gather your little racist group, everyone will have to put their DNA test there on the table, and you will have to check it. Good luck with that. Sure, that will be fun. So, okay. Yeah, well, that's funny. The DNA test I've said before, because my father did one of those DNA tests, and I think he was 0.5% Amazonian rainforest tribal man or something like that, and I found that very funny. And I tried to find out how far back are you going to have to go before you can trace that 0.5% back there. But then I found out that when it's that little, it's not reliable. So there is probably no story of someone going there and having a romantic thing happening, or someone coming from that part in my bloodline. It's just an error in the results there. So yeah, that's what I've. But it would be fun if that if there was such a story um, back in many generations ago. So let's get back to the topic. I don't know what I did here. I'll try to. Oh, okay, fixed it. Yes. Okay. Yeah, one important question: what will happen to the refugees from Gaza? I think we all understand where they will be going. They will be going into Europe. Um, and I've said before that taking in women and children, educated, often English speaking, from Ukraine to Norway, it's been a good thing for us. It's a bit selfish, I know. And why has that been a good thing? Well, because people are needed in the rural areas here, to hospitals, working in hospitals, kindergarten, schools, and cleaning, what have you, and so they would be given a house. They are still, I think, given a house and welcome there, because we kind of want them to stay so that we can keep those communities in the rural areas of Norway. Norway is a rural country, and the entire Norway basically, so that we can keep those communities alive. Now, getting people coming here from Palestine is not like that. That's going to be a different story, because as far as I know, people from Palestine will not be easily integrated into Norway. There will be exceptions. You will have doctors, you will have teachers, you will have wonderful people with lots of resources and mental capacity, coming from Gaza to Europe. But when we look at Gaza, having been under the heel of Hamas for how long is it now? It's a lot more than 10 years now. It's been a long time. It's going to be very, and also they have the Islamic ideology with them. They have a lot of hate with them, some of them, many of them. And they will be given homes in European countries. And I see suffering coming from that. I see violence. I see people being raped by some of those people there. We know this is how it goes. Um, and you could say that, well, so clearly what Israel is doing now is causing a refugee crisis. That's what's going to happen at some point. So I don't know. I really feel sorry for the people in Gaza. I think there are lots of good people there. There are lots of people there who they have most of the people there. They should not be blamed for what's happening. And I think it's like I heard one journalist saying in the news that if you asked people in Gaza if they support Hamas, they would say yes, absolutely. But then again, would they dare to say on television or even just in the street that they do not support Hamas? I think not. I think someone would hear that and then they would tell someone, and then you would have a visit from people with guns that same evening at your home, if you get my meaning. So let's take a look here at the chat. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the racism thing, the racist thing, people who are proponents of racism, they think they're so brilliant, but they are really lacking in logic there, you know. Uh, Sean says you shouldn't keep communities alive with other people's children. Ethnic Europeans still do exist. Who are you talking about? Okay. People from that would be Western and Central, at least Ukraine. You do know where they are tracing their ethnicity, don't you? I hope you do. Well, maybe you don't. I'll tell you. They are more Viking than most other people outside of Scandinavia. Okay. So actually, if they come here, when they come here, let's say, um, let's say a single Ukrainian woman coming here, fleeing Ukraine, and maybe she meets a Norwegian man here. Their children will be ethnically the same. Uh, they will not be. Which word should I use here? Well, they will be Norse, basically, because the Ukrainians from those parts are descendants of Vikings, so so okay. Thank you, Eddie. So okay. Now I will say that I do these live streams at this time of the day most often, and that's because I wake up very early and I do my writing. YouTube is not my job. So it's just something I do. I started doing it for my own enjoyment, and YouTube has done its best to make it less enjoyable, but that's a different topic, I guess. I I do my writing and then I do these live streams, and what I'm getting here is that now I forgot. It is early, but what I forgot what I was going to say now. Very professional. Now let's look at the chat. Yeah. Do you wrestle? No, I don't wrestle. No. Oh yeah, here's what I was going to say. So because I do these live streams normally at this time, Norwegians, well, most Western Europeans are not up yet. It's so early. My smile is under the mustache. Mostly people here will be Americans and Canadians. And I will say this, you have sort of a twisted view on Europe. Not all of you, but some of you. Okay. And I will just say that it comes across as sometimes a little bit foolish. Okay. Especially if you've never been out to the USA. It's like if you've never been out to the USA and then you're saying it's the greatest nation on the planet. How can you say that if you've never been out to the USA? I mean, you shouldn't believe blindly in what is being told in mainstream media about Europe. And you shouldn't believe what's being told on these nonsensical YouTube channels. There's so much fake news out there, you know. So, okay. Yes, Yobokot cat. Sadly, we have a monarch. We have a king. And he's very old. And we have his son will be the next king. They're a waste of space. They're an embarrassment to our country. And they should be stripped of their titles and money. I hope I made it clear somewhat that I'm not a supporter of monarchy right there. So, do they have any power? No, they they do not. But it's like we have, it's funny in a way because it was like this. That would be the daughter of. How is it? I think the prince married a girl, a common girl, that he found in some drug-infested hole, and she had a son who is spending taxpayers' money doing nothing, um, and following the footsteps, the intoxicated footsteps of his mother. And now this girl, this woman, and the prince had some other children, something like that. They have at least one child together, which is a daughter, who I think is now 18 or 19 years old. And I'm mentioning this because it was in the gossip news that she's moving out. That's the prince's daughter. She's moving out from a castle into an was a very small, very, very tiny apartment. Why is that? Why is she moving out of the castle? And it's like, okay, I'm in the process of buying one of those tiny, tiny apartments. They cost a fucking fortune. Now, most people will never afford that. I mean, I have a problem affording it, and we haven't found yet an apartment for my daughter. But we're looking, and now comes this person, this daughter of the prince, a person. None of them they've never worked. They're just given taxpayers' money, and it's a shock, and it's so shocking. She's moving out of the castle and into a very small apartment, and it's like it's a luxurious apartment that most people can only dream about in the best neighborhood in Oslo, It will cost about um, I don't know. That would be $450,000. So I would say in most cases, like in my family's case here, it's like dad will pay, you know, and that's very often that's mocked a little bit because of, oh, your dad is paying. Well, but if you have a dad who can pay, then dad will pay for your apartment, because otherwise it's impossible for young people to get such an apartment. It's just impossible. Um, and it's being portrayed in the gossip news as that she's moving out of the castle and into this humble existence. Oh, it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. So, so I would say one thing that you Americans did right, and I will always admire you for this in your past, is that you got rid of your attachment to the English monarchy. That was a good thing. So, okay. Um, my perspective on reincarnation. I hope not. I don't. I hope we are not reincarnated, because I have some ideas about what I want to do, and that does not involve me being waking up in another shape than this one. I'm very happy with this shape that I have. So, um, now, didn't the people of Gaza strike first? Wasn't the Gaza Strip given to them? Well, that's. I was going to say, Christian, that's an interesting question. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. There is always going to be someone who was there before, who was first, who did strike first. If we are going to use the Bible as a reference for historical things that really happened in history, which we shouldn't do. We should be careful about doing that, because the Bible is not a history book. But at least in the Bible, it says that there were people there before the Jews came there, um, and they were dealt with in a violent manner. Um, and I'm pretty sure that before those people were there, the ones before the Jews, there might have been some other people there. It's we don't really know who did the first strike, who started the whole thing, but they've been fighting there since before historical records were a thing. If I believe in a creator, no, no, I don't do that, because it cannot be proven. Uh, but I can also not prove that there is not a creator, just as it's impossible to prove that there is a creator. We don't know, and we need to be okay with not knowing these things. Um, yeah, Norway's stance on the situation in Gaza. It's been a little bit disgusting, because the Norwegian government is on board with most other countries in Europe. The Norwegian people seems to have woken up to this, and then you have, because it's genocide. Then you have it's genocide what's happening in Gaza, okay, and then you have, of course, the people who have always supported Palestine and who cannot get themselves to say that Hamas is a terrorist organization. I mean, I want to grab those people like this. What's wrong with you? So, okay, we're getting into the it's all an illusion thing. Maybe we're not really here. I'm pretty sure I'm here. Don't know about you, but I'm here. Well, thank you, Claude Ali, saying that was the best way I've ever heard that answered. We need to be okay with not knowing because we don't know. Well, thank you. Now, let's see here. I will say that typically the pagan or heathen thing in modern times, we have that attitude where, of course, we don't believe that what other people call the myths, the creation myths and so on, should be taken literally. They are symbolic. But we are okay with not knowing things. And we are okay with being curious. We are okay with accepting the fact that we're just human beings and we're animals and we don't know everything. We don't understand everything. We can try and we should try and we should ask questions. Thanks a lot there, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff, I can't say that here. I can say curse words here now for some reason, but I can't really. That one I can't say, I think. Yeah, and your president, Mr. Potato, he said that as well, I think. What about fact checking? No, we don't do that anymore, apparently. Well, Ganger. It's gruesome, Gaza, but they don't have your sympathy. What about a 2-year-old little kid? Does she or he not have your sympathy? What about the pets in Gaza? No sympathy. What about the pregnant woman getting killed so that they have to, by the bombing, so that they have to operate on her to get the baby out, and the baby dies because it was premature? No sympathy. Not everyone is guilty, and we should be very, very careful not to apply guilt by association. YouTube will do that. We should not do that. UN security doesn't call Hamas a terrorist organization. No, I'm pretty sure you're correct there, Al Jody. They should. They should. Because that's what they are. Okay. Nameless one Burnham there. Despite the socialized this and that, Scandinavia has produced nothing. Really? Okay. What about the words you're using? Hmm? Many of the words you are using are Norse in origin. Inventions. No? You don't really know anything, do you? Now, this is the uneducated opinion, and it is embarrassing because if you're not a little brat, if you're more than 13 years old and you write comments like that, it really is. It's tragic, you know. It's tragic. Um, oh, yeah, yeah. Vero Father says Scandinavia is rich in culture, history, and people. So just to give you, just out of the kindness of my heart here, just to give you a little bit of education here. First of all, during the Viking Age and after the Viking Age, we are talking about the Scandinavian era. We're talking about how Scandinavian culture influenced the entire Western and Northern Europe. That culture has influenced obviously also North America because they took that with them when they moved there. Um, Now, when it comes to what Scandinavians have done in literature, art, technology, um, and so on, it's like taking a major country. Well, actually, you're lumping several countries together there, and you're just taking them out of world history, out of science, out of everything. Um, and when you do that, you kind of end up looking like an idiot. Yes, sunset. They could be drunk. Yes, I. Not only is it Halloween, but it is late and so on. But sometimes I will pick some of these idiot comments because um, it is interesting and to talk about it a little bit. Yeah, the Norse they discovered the North America before Columbus. Yes, it's staggering that some people. I'm not talking about you who wrote the comment, but some people it's like they believe that can be true. Well, it's like it's a fact. We have known about that for decades. There are reconstructed settlements in North America. Norse were there. We know why they were there, pretty much how long they were there, and then there's this funny myth that they encountered the Indians being the natives there, and they got into a fight with them and they drove them away. No, that's not true. They traveled there probably to get timber and uh, is that ore, iron ore, you call it? I know what it's called in Norwegian, but those resources, because you don't have that in Greenland, you don't. They had very little of that also on Iceland. So trade, timber and other resources. When when you are at Greenland, did you know geologically, you're already in North America. Okay. So, and I will say that I'm getting more back into Norse. I don't like reenactment, that word. Can you help me with a better word? Because I'm not acting. I'm I'm doing research, hands-on research. It helps in my writing. I'm a historical novelist. Um, re Well, you put on Viking clothes, you do Viking stuff out in the woods. What do you call that? Reenacting is like acting, like you're reliving. Yeah, well, thank you. So, revival. Yeah, we should bring the Viking Age back. The Viking revival. um, restoring and reliving. Thank you, Shining Knocked Owls. Uh, what I think about Second World War German living history. Well, I think it's very valuable to relive these things because, well, reenactment that's when you act. I don't act, I am. So I think it's very valuable to do that, to learn and understand more. For instance, how was it to be drafted into the German or Nazi army and sent to fight in a foreign country? What was that like? What was it like to be like uh, some generations ago? My on my father's side, they were in the Norwegian resistance. Um, what was that like? Um, I've been to the caves where they hid, but we need to remember that they didn't have the same equipment as we had, and so on. And yeah. So the short answer is, I think it's valuable to learn from doing. Learn from doing. Um, yeah. Well, Veronica, thank you. Fantastic family history. It is also a history that cut one part of our bloodline off because one of them, he was killed. He was shot by the Germans. Um, so that's why I get a little bit upset when there are people claiming that in Norway we just gave up and we let the Nazis occupy our country. No, we did not. We fought, and some were killed. Um, a couple of weeks ago, I was doing a hike in the woods east of Oslo, and there's this um, what bauta, a big stone thing, a statue in the woods there. Memorize. It's a memory. It's a plaque on it, right, with names when they were born and when they were killed, and a lot of those were killed on the same day, so probably executed. They were in the Norwegian resistance. They were probably caught and executed at gunpoint. Um, looking at that, it makes you think. And I've seen other statues like that, and especially when you see the dates being like just a couple of days before the liberation. They were the Nazis, they knew that they were losing, and they started killing them. Yeah, monument. Well, thank you. Yeah, makes you think. You know. Um, Yes, the Norse faced oppression. Absolutely, that's shining knockdowns. That's very, yeah. The Nazi belief of superior Norse white race and so on. Yeah, that's. Uh, yeah, I know what you're talking about, and of course, there were enemies everywhere, and especially at if we talk about the Norse as a heathen group. Of course, they were forced into Christianity uh, by threat of violence and so on. But that was a political thing. It's okay. We have changed topic here, but no shortcuts. Says I'm drunk. Well, sorry to hear about that. It's it's an interesting thing how Christianity was used um, to centralize power because under the king, because it is there's a parallel there to what we are seeing today. And follow me on this one, okay? So especially Norway, you know, they came here and they said basically, now you all have to stop worshipping the old gods. Well, actually, if you do, we will kill you and all of your family and burn your farm. Uh, and you must pray to the white Christ. That was the deal. Why did that matter? It mattered because, in addition to that, the king could then say, and by the way, I am king, and I'm king because God told me so. Isn't that convenient? Yeah. And because of that, power would then be centralized under that king. More of the tax that was taken, taxpayers' dollars back then as well, not dollars, but the equivalent, like a part of your grain, a part of everything would be taken as taxes, and that made the king very rich, and he needed to be rich to have a huge army. Well, huge by the standards of that time. Um, that was how it went. It is easy to see the parallel to what's happening today. We have a dogmatic way of thinking. We have it's almost become a religion. So you have the environment, you have what you need to believe. It kind of changes a little bit, and they now now apparently you need to support Israel. That was a bit, they got that a little bit wrong because people are not going to buy that one. Okay. But anyway, they have a dogma and rules, and we're talking about the globalist organizations, and they are taking away power from the nations, centralizing it under unelected officials. So there's clearly a parallel. They're not using Christianity, but they're using something different, which is also something that acts in the same way. Okay, a dogma. So, good question, Petar Petrovic. How did Norway and Germany reconcile? How can we learn from them and apply it to Israel and Palestine? That is an interesting question. How did that happen? I think I think that, well, the situation now, and for as long as I can remember, have been that there is no hostility towards Germans. And I think it has to do with a understanding that it was not Germans doing this. It was people it was the Nazis, not the Germans. And the Germans were victims to what happened in their country under that tyrant with the ugly mustache. And maybe that's how we need to approach what's happening in Palestine. It's not the exact same, but maybe. Jeff, well, thank you for the donation, and I can read what you are saying there. Yeah, good question. How is Hamas to be wiped out? The people are not Hamas. Yeah, because Hamas are using the Palestinians as human shields. So how to wipe out Hamas? I'm not educated in this, but I would say you need to attack it from two fronts. You need to go in there and kill the Hamas. But what they're doing now, clearly, I don't know if there is any other way to do it, but I do not support what they're doing now. But more importantly, and I'm pretty sure about this one, Israel should be kind to the Palestinians. They should establish trade. They should establish human aid. They should allow people into, let's say they establish refugee camps just outside of the border to Gaza, and show the Palestinians that they're not evil. Show them that you will get, they could use some of the money that they spend on all those weapons to buy food, supply them with water, and so on, so that the Palestinians would see that, oh, the Israeli people, they actually care about us. Is it such a stupid idea? Well, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, it's an ideology. Good point there, Hamas. And no, good point, Hamas. Hamas is an ideology. You can't wipe it out. Well, but you can try to do what I said there, and so that people will understand that the Israeli alternative, if you will, is a better, it gives you a better and more comfortable life. Maybe. But you are right. And I'm learning a lot from chatting with you guys. What I'm learning now is that, or rather, what I'm being reminded of now is that get rid of Hamas, and another Islamic group will probably be establish itself there. I think. Korana, you've been shadow pulled by YouTube. I can't see your videos and recommendations. I know. YouTube is doing that. Yes, I know. Now, Jeff says, yes, you can't destroy the ideology. But what if we could? I'm going to end this live stream soon now, but what if we could destroy that ideology? If we look I'll use Norway as an example. because I live here. I think that if you look at people with a background from Muslim countries, most of those people, they are fully integrated. They're not practicing Muslims, like all the praying and going to the mosque and all that. They're not. Okay. I think we need to be honest about that. They're not. I know this. They will even have a beer. You know, it's because they might say that, well, I'm Muslim, but it's in a sort of a cultural way for a lot of those people. But they are Norwegians, and well, not all of them, but this is very common. Okay, it's very common. Um, and you don't really see many of girls with that kind of Arab look with the headscarf anymore. I think that was more common earlier, some years ago. This is just my impression of things, okay? And I think that this is because we have a country here where people are usually met as individuals, not as people belonging in a group. We have a sort of good society. It's things are mostly good here in Norway, and the Islamic way of living for most people seems less desirable than the modern Norwegian way of living. Okay, so that's why I think that Islam is not really that strong in Norway. It doesn't really have that much support. Yes, these people, they might say that, well, I'm Muslim, but they're not really. They're about as Christian as most Norwegians, who will go to church one time every year, and that's on Christmas Eve, well, during the daytime, because it's part of tradition. It's that's what I think. I've been to England several times, Jobokat, many times, and I've seen what you are referring to. But also, part of this is that we never had huge numbers of people coming in from those into Norway. So integration could happen. Okay. Well, thank you, Robert, for the donation. I hope that we will have peace. Yes. Um, yeah, I hope people, Robert, again, thank you, will move towards spirituality. I hope that. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Angela. So yeah, if you have a lot of, it's about number, it's math. If you have huge amounts of people from a certain culture moving into a country, there will be no integration. They will instead change the culture of that country. Well, thank you, Robert. Um, so yeah, it is getting late for people over in North America, I guess. Um, Yeah, good news for the weapons industry yet again. First, they had a new market in Ukraine, and now they have Israel. Yeah, I know. Follow the money. Okay. I'm going to have to end the live stream now. We had a long chat now. Thank you for all your wise comments. We didn't have many idiots here today. Um, it's getting better. Okay, we'll talk soon. And please check out my video that will be uploaded on my main channel. Link in the video description. Um, in a few hours. So tomorrow morning for you guys, or this evening for the Europeans. in the country of Europe, that one country, well, thank you, Robert. Thank you. So, from Russia, user 777. Are you in Russia? I'd like to go back. Hopefully, I can soon. Okay. I'm sure that I forgot some things. Yeah, I was going to try this thing again. Please remember to subscribe. So when I say that word, there should be an animation, something like that. That word should appear animated. Animated. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. Wonderful. We'll talk soon.